Now, lifeadministration.com presents the Life Administration Podcast. Here are your hosts, Leslie Loftus and Ryan Taylor.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Life Administration Podcast. My name is Ryan Taylor, and what day is it today? I don't know. It's episode Groundhog Day.
It's May the 97th, or March the 97th.
March the 97th. It's not even a real thing.
But March just felt like it kept going and going.
And what's your name?
I always forget to say my name. Hello, everyone. I'm Leslie Loftus.
You forget to say your name. I can't spell my name. And
we're just a small basket case
yes.
here. And it's worse right now because the real point of this is it is not quite 3 weeks since...
Tomorrow will be 3 weeks.
Tomorrow will be 3 weeks since we've been at home with just our families.
Yes. So... It is interesting. So we just did our Twitter Thursday episode, which will go up tomorrow. And this one will go up Monday. Now, if you've been with us for any length of time, you know that we've pre-recorded a bunch of different episodes and that sort of thing. And so usually we have like this 3-week buffer. We sort of do things that are evergreen topics that you can kind of come back and listen to at any given time. But this thing has been going on for so long. And we are going banana sandwich.
Right. And it's kind of messing up. Like one of the things that we're getting ready or we're going to do soon is, travel advice, like how to travel with children. What do you need? What kind of stuff do you need? What kind of, if you're sending a child off on the solo trip, what kind of legal documents do you need? When you're going to visit grandma's, what do you need to have in traveling with children? Nobody's traveling right now. And we're at the stage where we're recording about 6 weeks in advance. So maybe by the time it went live, people would be traveling. But our heads are mush. And they're certainly not. Yes, I remember I used to travel a lot with my very young children. And if pressed, I could remember. That's just not the brain space that I am occupying right now. So I don't feel like I could really we talk you through it very well at the moment.
We talked about it for about 5 minutes.
Right.
And we said, okay, we're going to, let's do this. And it just didn't feel right. Neither one of us felt like we're traveling with kids anytime in the foreseeable future. And we felt like that's not the best way to serve you guys. So we shifted gears and we did a little bit of research. And I think the inspiration for today's episode that we are entitling Groundhog Day, first off, it should be a prerequisite that if you haven't seen the movie Groundhog Day, you're going to have no idea what we're talking about. So if you haven't seen it, stop this, go watch it. We all know you have time to watch it.
Exactly.
Right?
And it is, if you haven't watched it, it is one of those things. You not only need to watch it because it's a good movie and it's one of Bill Murray's finest, but also it's kind of like The Princess Bride. There is so much pop culture reference in it. If you haven't seen it, you'll be, that's where that comes from.
Exactly.
Yeah, so just for cultural literacy, you need to have watched Groundhog Day.
And I think, listen, so my wife is, I always feel like I dig at her on these things. It's kind of good. She is not watched Star Wars ever.
Most of my best friends growing up had not, it became a funny joke. If I became close friends with somebody, then eventually I would find out that they had never seen Star Wars. And in college, by the way, I wasn't as crazy or it wasn't, the fandom had faded. So people didn't know that I could recite all the movies. Right. Anyway.
I think we're there. I think we're there.
She's going to watch it.
I think she's going to watch it. So she doesn't know that she's going to watch it. But so here's what's been happening, right? So before we get going, we've been watching movies. And so what I have been doing is every time that they point out a Star Wars reference, I'm pointing it out to her. I'm saying, because you can't watch anything without there being a Star Wars reference.
Pretty much.
And so now I'm like, that's a Star Wars reference. That's a Star Wars reference. And so last night for the first time, I said, we got some time. It'd be nice if you watched a Star Wars movie with me. So now I am picked with the unenviable task of I have one to pick. Which one do I think I throw
A New Hope. You got to go with A New Hope. A New Hope to Empire is by far the strongest lead. And I know there's different things with the order and And introducing kids is something different, but I get you because I've been there before.
Because I think I might want to go Empire, but there's no Obi-Wan. I mean, there is, but
you
not a lot.
can't go Empire until you've done 4.
I guess. I love 4. I love 4.
Empire just doesn't have the same oomph if you don't have the backstory of the characters.
I guess so. All right, A New Hope.
A New Hope.
A New
Empire.
Hope.
Right, and you can stop there. I mean... Yeah.
Hate tweets to Leslie Loftus TX. Okay. All right.
I am not a fan of the prequels or sequels.
You know what is amazing to me? And so I have some friends that are in their like early 20s. Mm-hmm. They love the prequels. If you grew
up, the prequels are better than the sequels. I will go with that.
Yeah, they if you grew up with them and you know they're like so into it. I go, don't you realize that these movies are terrible? And they say
look
no.
at you like you're
like whatever boomer. That's what they say. Yeah. All right. Anyway, okay. So why are we talking about Groundhog Day? It's because right now it feels like every single day is exactly the same.
Yep.
And
we're all at home. We've all tried to set schedule. We're living the same day over and over and over. And I don't know about you. I have been like, where are y'all right now? Mentally.
That's where I'm at. I'm a space cadet. I'm a space cadet. That's where I feel like I am. I feel like every day is the same day. Like we're good. Like everything's good,
Absolutely.
right? That's not the issue. I mean, there are so many other issues plaguing a population that I mean, my heart breaks for. You know, right. Even on the news today,
both of us are coming from a space where I mean, I have one friend that I know that fell ill with it and ended up in the hospital. She was picked up from the hospital 2 days ago. She's like, I have a sister-in-law and a friend who are a doctor and a nurse, and so I know. But they're also actually one's in Dallas, and so she's really kind of getting slammed right now. But it's not the actual horrors of the virus itself are not impacting us.
It's just impacting our boredom.
Right. Our life administration.
Yes.
And like, we got on here when we originally went through this and we talked about how do you set a schedule for the scheduleless days? What kind of things can you get done? But now we're 3 weeks into it and well, I've redone our filing. There's a lot, and I'm sure a bunch of y'all, especially regular listeners, have gone through and like, oh, this is the perfect time to set up these to-do lists. And you've probably gone through and done some of that stuff. And where I think all 6 of us yesterday, at some point during the day, it just occurred to each of us, this is not like remotely over. It's not even like we've got another week or something like that. Governor Abbott's orders, well, not an order, his recommendation came down and I don't see anybody not following it, that schools should remain closed through at least the beginning of May, May the 4th, actually. Okay.
Nice. The bring back. Very nice.
Yeah, I can do a
Very
bring back.
Nice.
That's 4 weeks away. That's over 4 weeks away. Which is how we got to the Groundhog Day feeling, because we're living the same day over and over. And we've kind of gone through the being mad about it. And, I'm not going to do it. Now we're all reluctantly doing it or not reluctant, eagerly, whatever, whichever it is. We've gone through a bunch of our to-do lists. We've cooked ourselves into an extra 10 pounds. No letting up.
No letting up. Nothing in the foreseeable future, unfortunately.
So, what do we do?
Okay, well,
that's what we decided to talk about.
So, and one of I think that from Psychology Today, we'll put a link in the description, and this is from Travis Langley, PhD. So he's definitely smarter than me. Maybe not smarter than Leslie, but definitely smarter than me. And he talks about the fancy psychology word insert here model.
Kubler-Ross, yeah.
Say what is it?
Kubler-Ross
model,
so, anyway.
And the 5 stages of Groundhog Day, and essentially what because our lives are like this movie, like legitimate. Like I said, if you haven't seen it, you really do need to watch it. But essentially, it's us going through the 5 stages of grief, and until we sort of get to the next horizon,
Right.
as it were. So Leslie, what are the 5 stages of grief?
Denial.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not happening. Anger, mad that it happened, and
When you said this wasn't happening, I was like, no, we're recording this podcast right now. What do you mean it's not happening? Okay, denial, got it.
Denial, anger, then bargaining. Okay, if I do the right things, if I make the right deals, then maybe I can get this to unhappen. That doesn't work, and so then you get to depression of. And finally, acceptance. And in the movie, if you recall the movie, again, spoiler alerts for those who didn't follow Ryan's advice and pause it and go.
Just mute for 15 seconds. Okay, go.
Okay. All right. So when Phil is the guy in Groundhog Day, the Bill Murray character, and when he first starts waking up in the same day for a couple of days, he's just like, no, this is not happening. Then he goes through a while of some anger. I think somebody at one point did an assessment of, I think Phil was going through Groundhog Day for like 20 years or something like it's a long time.
Oh, they did this is actually how many days he did?
Right,
okay.
Exactly. So they took the montages and then figured out, how long it would have taken to have learned guitar, learned piano, that sort of stuff.
Got it.
And figured out, and Phil spent a long time living through February 2nd, what was it, 1997?
I mean, I can just tell you as a music teacher, if someone had 0 musical skill and then went to that level and you're practicing every day, not to mention all the stuff they did outside of that, it's got to be 5 years.
Right. And he did it with guitar and piano and
saxophone. Yeah.
So somebody did that math and estimated long time he's going through this. So denial first, then anger. Oh my gosh. He, punches different. No, this is not happening. Okay. Then goes through bargaining of, okay, maybe I can work my way out of this situation. How can I deal with this? And as we were discussing right before, that's where we think we are. But we'll get to that in a second.
Yep.
Then once bargaining doesn't work, comes depression. And in the movie, Phil repeatedly tries. I'm laughing because it's not really funny, but it is a Bill Murray movie, so he manages to make even this heavy topic somewhat funny. So he can't get the Groundhog Day to end, so he starts by driving off a cliff with the groundhog.
Yeah.
That doesn't work, so he goes through various ways to commit suicide and still wakes up at 6 a.m. with that little flip alarm clock.
Yeah. And Sonny and Cher playing.
I got you, babe.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine?
No, I really can't. And finally, Phil gets to acceptance and he realizes that he's going to be here. And so he's going to make the best of it. And how he makes the best of it is by learning. Instead of trying to do things for himself, he now tries to do things to serve other people.
Yes.
And then eventually he manages to, I won't totally spoil it. Eventually he manages to break.
I mean, you brought him 90% of the way there.
That's
yeah. Okay.
fine,
He gets out of Groundhog Day. So
right.
We were talking a little bit earlier about the five stages that we're in right now. And so I think honestly, I went through this denial. Hey, this is going to leave as soon as it came. We're going to be out of this before you even know it.
Oh, they're not, or even at the beginning before the orders came in.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's not, they're not going to do that. Oh, maybe they'll shut down, schools, but they're not going to shut down anything. And it just kept coming. And then it kept getting extended because we just had an extension.
Mm-hmm.
They've gone from the stay-at-home order. I did look it up. He told me this because I was like, the stay-at-home order actually ends tomorrow on Friday. And he's like, no, it doesn't. And I thought maybe it was extended for 2 weeks. No, it's extended until April 30th.
Yes, April 30th. Yep. Dig in. Because that's a month. That's a month from now. So we have the denial piece. Then we go into the anger piece of I can't do the things the way that I want to do them anymore. I can't go to the restaurant that I want to go to. I can't play at the park with my little girl. Thank goodness I got to the beach because I literally went on a Friday and they closed it the Monday after we went. The beach was closed. And so,
and by the way, you were practicing social distancing at the beach.
Yes.
You were outdoors in the sunshine, and it's not like it was just the three of you in a little
football fields away from other people on the beach.
Right.
Like, I mean, there was no chance of anything happening out there. But nevertheless, beaches are closed, right?
And all you have to do is take a perusal of various points of social media to see both the denial and the anger points. Different people spent, some people spent a day in denial. Other people spent a week or so in denial and in stubborn, active denial. Well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Right.
And then anger has definitely kind of been scattered all about. That's lovely.
And so, and like for real right now at this stage, which I think makes a lot of sense, is we are in the bargaining stage.
Yes. Everybody's trying to figure out a way to, how can we actually make and I see it a lot in parents that are homeschooling right now, especially in elementary age. It's just, no, I've got the system. I've got a schedule set up. I have a plan. They're not conforming to the plan. And I completely feel I'm a schedule girl. I'm still, but freedom in the framework we're trying. And so we're all starting to ask, okay, exactly how can I make this work? Because my original plans are not working. So we're going through well, if I modify it this way, or if I try it this way, it's still not working.
Yeah. So I think it's important that we talk about, so we've established we are in Groundhog Day and we're in bargaining, which is the part where Phil starts to go like crazy. It's the stage before he starts to off himself. Right. And so
that's kind of what I'm worried about here is because one, there are some sensitive people.
Yeah.
There are some people that are already prone to depression or already have depression. Okay. I don't have mental health issues like this, and I'm starting to struggle a little bit. I really, really worry about those who do. Oh my gosh.
I am a born extrovert. I am suffering. I am suffering. Okay. And not, like you said, not to make light of it, but there are people that, I have one friend who texted me when all this sort of stuff started. He says, I'm not too worried about it. I was born an introvert. I've been preparing for this my whole life. You know what I mean? So it's like people are all over the spectrum. Okay. But nevertheless, whether you're an extrovert, whether you're an introvert, whether you're feeling great, whether you're feeling sad, I think some of the things that we're going to talk about today will help you navigate the next month, 2 months, dare I say 3 months?
No, don't say 3 months.
Don't speak it into existence. Don't speak it into existence. Okay, so as I think through this, my first tip, and I kind of grabbed some pieces. I went through a bunch of different blogs and stuff because we kind of did this pretty quickly,
right? And
so I'm cherry picking some of the things that I liked here. But though I think the first one that makes sense is we spent so much time developing our schedules. I think now, if it's starting to feel a little bit stale, you have to tweak a couple things.
Yes. You have to be willing to change things that aren't working.
Yeah, start changing your routine a little bit. Now, I'm not talking about these huge sort of wholesale changes,
right?
But start looking.
And I'm also not saying, oh, screw it, and just don't do any of it.
Right? No.
Right.
No, it's not a stop.
Right.
It's a change.
Right.
It's different. Right. So, for example, even if you go back to the Groundhog Day example, and I'm a music teacher, so I'm going to get into music just because I do. But like, let's say lots of people have guitars that are sitting somewhere in their houses and they've never picked it up. Well, you know what? I'm going to start devoting 15 minutes to laying my hands on this guitar and seeing what's going on. There's like YouTube has plenty of things to get a beginner started, right? I'm not saying, because I'd be out of a job, that you should learn your entire, but for the basics of, where do I put my hands? How do I pick strings? How do I fret the fretboard? The lessons that I dread, the first 2 months that are just like, oh.
You can get those off YouTube.
You can get those off. You can get
and
that
then
stuff.
When we get relaxed, when we can go back out again, then you can call up a music teacher like Ryan and say, all right. Funny. So one of the things we were binge watching as a family was The Good Place, and the Ted Danson character he's trying to self-teach, and he's gotten to the point where he can, what's that really complicated chord? There's
plenty of them.
There's plenty of them, but there's one that's apparently like, I don't know, famous or whatever, that every guy wants to be able to Anyhow, that's the joke and the thing, and he just can't get it. Eventually, he ends up
To look it up.
he gets to a teacher, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, do you know how much time I've been?" But he had a hands-on teacher that finally just said, "Oh, well, like this. Okay, I'm gonna go." It seems like a complete crazy turn, but breastfeeding is like this. There is so much that people are like, "Oh, well, it's instinctive. Oh, it's instinctual, and oh, it's just
Lies.
okay, lies." And also, "Oh, well, just go to the we used to call it the Boobies for Dummies class, but go to the lactation before you're pregnant and you're going and you're taking your husband and you're going to a class to learn how to." Okay, that's all fine and good. But the real learning happens when the baby comes and the lactation nurse is in there with you. And we're talking, it is sometimes a hands-on sort of thing. Practical skills. These are all practical skills, and they at some point will require you need an expert helping you through it.
Yeah,
Somebody
absolutely.
that's been there and done it before. You can learn a bunch of the theory. You can learn a bunch of the basics. But sometimes for some of those movements, for some of these things, you need somebody to actually sit there with you and show you and point and touch and move your fingers and say, like this.
Yes, 100%.
But right now
you're
we're
preaching to
not
the choir.
Yeah.
So I would suggest little things, right? So for example, my daughter and I, we have a very small lake that we go and we walk around, and we've been walking around it for 2 weeks. Well, you know what? Tomorrow, we're not going to walk around that lake. We're going to go to a different place. Okay? We're going to walk to the duck park, which is a little bit further away, which we haven't gone to, but maybe once since all this stuff has happened, because normally it's like get in the car kind of thing. But hey, we got the time, right?
Take the walk there.
We got the
some
time.
Stale pieces of bread,
Feed the
peeled
ducks.
bread, feed the ducks.
Feed the ducks. Maybe it's breakfast, right? You've been eating the same cereal, or you've been cooking eggs the same way, right? Let's spice it up a little bit, right? We just talk.
No longer scrambled. Do an omelet.
Yeah, do an omelet, right? And if it's bad, so what? Who cares?
Figure out
right?
how to make mini frittatas in the little mini muffin pan.
Yeah,
they're
right.
awesome.
There you go, right?
But they are they're kind of finicky to get right. You're going to have to do them 2 or 3 times.
It's like pancakes. The first two are always terrible.
Right.
Because it doesn't matter how well you preheat the pan. It's just, they're always terrible. Unless I'm sure you have like a trick or something. In your mind right now, you're like...
No, because I don't do any of the pastry sweet stuff. Jim will have it. You can ask Jim. I'm quite certain there is a trick, and it might be that he just does... Honestly, I don't know. I don't do pancakes or waffles.
Fair enough.
Nope.
Fair enough. First two are always terrible. That's my trick. Just like... If you're making 10, you're really making 8. Okay.
Or having a happy dog.
So I would suggest, like, this is not one of those things that you want to do like right on the fly, right? Like, okay, now I'm going to just like grab a pen and paper, write down 3 things. I'm going to walk differently today. I'm going to eat differently today. And, maybe you've been binge watching the same TV show, right? Just change it up. Throw a documentary on. Like, just do these small little things that just makes it feel different. And then in a week's time, change them again. And then when a week's time, change it again, right?
Freshen it up a bit.
Yeah, freshen it up. And so I think that once you started doing all of those sorts of things, start to visualize what is the perfect day in this situation look like? You know what I mean? Like, because right now we're muddling through the days.
We're just coping.
So okay, I have these limits on me right now. What does perfect look like? What does the best day ever look like?
An aim.
Yeah, an aim and start and shoot, right? So what we talked about it in last week's episode. It hasn't aired yet, but even maybe you're not dressing the way that you should be dressing, right? We talked about
and we're going to talk that because the next episode that we're going to record is professional comms, and a change I made was originally we were going to talk about etiquette in communication at the office, and I didn't have anything in there about video conferencing.
Right.
Well, now I've added a section about video conferencing. And one of the things, right, everybody's making jokes about it and stuff about, you're dressing one way from the waist up. So you're seeing, and then, you got boxer briefs on. Well, you can go to curation sites like Board Panda or something and find all sorts of videocast fails, and one that was really, guy gets out, clearly having a team meeting, he looks fine, he doesn't realize he hasn't shut off the meeting, and he gets up and he's in his boxers and his team is laughing at him, and then he actually sticks his hands down his pants and scratches his butt with both hands. It's
sounds like me on a Tuesday, but that's
but
yeah.
Those kind of things. Go ahead and finish the details of,
Yep.
I'm not saying that for a meeting that you need to wear a full suit. We are dressing more casually now at home, but, go ahead and put the whole thing together.
Yeah, just put it together, right?
We have time to finish the motion, so to speak.
And it's a reflection and how you feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, we sort of joke around now that there's time to do everything. But there are things that are still not being done for one reason or another.
Mm-hmm.
And what you have recently discovered is time is not the issue. It's what you told yourself for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. But now all of a sudden, like, there's just no reason to not clean the garage. Maybe there's
didn't want
to do it.
Right.
Well, what I'm telling you is that thing, whether you realize it or not, subconsciously, it weighs on you.
Absolutely.
It weighs on you.
Because every time you walk in and out of the garage.
I got to do this, but I don't want to do it, right?
Right.
So I would just say, like, break through the wall, bust through the barrier, and just say, I'm going to do this.
Right.
I'm going to do this. So, for us, it was the garage. We want to make sure the garage, it was sort of the last place that life administration had not touched our home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was the garage, because everything that needed to get adios from the rest of the house found its way into the garage.
Right.
And so now it's like, well, this project's going to take.
You can no longer park the cars there.
Oh,
yes.
oh yeah.
That's it. Oh, that's way in your
yeah.
review
Oh
mirror.
my gosh. I was going to say that train sailed, but that didn't make any sense. That boat has sailed a long time ago. And, but there was a time when we were able to do that. But every time I go out there, I take the trash, or right now my daughter's birthday's coming up. So we're hiding a lot of gifts in there. And so I'm in and out. It doesn't feel very good.
No.
It doesn't feel very good.
Well, and also you have to spend more time trying to find the thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So go ahead and tackle the things that finish the movement. Do those things that you've really been avoiding. And it turns out you weren't avoiding them for time. You were avoiding them for plain old not wanting to do them. Avoidance.
Now, the next one is going to sound a little cheesy.
Uh-oh.
But I'm a big believer in this. I wasn't always, but I'm converted. Keep a journal. Okay? Mm-hmm. So when I was younger, I thought it was kind of like my mom made me do it, and I just whatever, right?
Yeah.
I think it was really just because she wanted to spy on my life more than anything else, like write a journal and tell me where you put it so I can read it every night when you go to sleep.
I had one of my children do one for a while because it was stealthy handwriting practice.
See,
but
that's
no.
See,
moms are devious. Sometimes,
yeah.
we have ulterior motives.
Love you, Phyllis. but in any case, I think what it really does is it has the ability to highlight how your days are actually different, right? Our brain plays tricks on us sometimes, and it says, like, this is what's happening all the time. Your brain always kind of deals with the lowest common denominator with your emotions, in the sense of, like, it just wants to stay safe, and it doesn't want to take any risks, and it doesn't really care how you feel. It's just like, we're breathing. This is good.
Right.
Like, that's how your brain...
the lizard brain is fully functional, and it says, okay, that's hot, don't touch.
Yep, we're safe. Cool, right? Done. That's not good for your heart, your mind, your will, and emotions. That's how I sort of define the word heart. That you're, anyway, it's not good for it. So the reality is, we're having a guest. We have cake, and we're on video too. So.
Okay, the shoe cake looks awesome, but I will come down and I will look at it.
Oh, just bring it in front of the camera, Alex. Come on, let's go. We're not going to edit this out.
It's a shoe cake.
It is a shoe cake. Self-made, right?
Self-made. Like,
See?
Totally, as in she, those are from little muffin pans and little spring, cheesecake spring molds. Alex, that looks awesome.
Okay, please don't drop it. That would be bad. Then we'd be on board Panda.
Yeah.
It's a girl shoe, by the way.
Okay, so that's a great example of number one, right? Changing your routine. She's baking a cake. That's not something that you do every day, especially.
And she was depressed and bored this morning, just
Yep.
kind of sitting there, go, oh my gosh, what am I gonna? They've been trying since I record on Thursdays. They've been trying to get most of their work done on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because they know I'm not downstairs like cracking the whip on chores or anything like that, and they can get a free day, right? So that was part of that. But yeah, she's definitely gone through. And so actually I'm kind of proud of her because she just changed up her routine herself. And she went through, she pulled out all the cookbooks. You saw Nerdy Nummies was out there. She was pulling out the cookbooks, going through them earlier today, and figuring out what she wanted to. Originally, this was sweet. She wanted to make me wine gummy bears.
Aww.
Yeah, very nice.
Very cool.
Jim said no.
Yeah. He put the old kibosh on that one, huh? So, all right. So we changed your routine. Great example. Thank you, special guest Alex. That was really neat. Visualizing your day, how it's going to be different, the things that are in your way that you've all of a sudden realized are not necessarily true, that time is not the excuse. It's just a lie that you told yourself.
Yep.
Right. And go out and change those things because they're weighing on you. And so then we talked about keeping a journal, right? So I joked about my mom, but the reality is we got the lizard brain. A lot of times it deals to the lowest common denominator, to our mind and our will and our emotions. And that ultimately, if you start writing some things down that were different today. So for example, for me, I told you before I came over here that my daughter and I were playing Ben and Holly, right?
For fans of Peppa Pig, I introduced
Yes.
Ryan to Ben and Holly's.
Best thing that's
I
ever
don't
happened.
know why Ben and Holly's has not come to the U.S., but the Peppa Pig people did another cartoon called Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom.
Yep.
And
it's brilliant.
Awesome.
It's brilliant.
It's one of those, like the kids think it's funny and stuff, but it has plenty of stuff in there for the adults.
Yep.
Kind of the same voice. Ben's a little elf. Holly's a little fairy. And they live in Ben lives in a little tree with his elf family, and Holly lives in a
castle.
Yeah, a little castle next to the mushroom.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
anyway.
we play Ben and Holly today for the first time. Now, it's easy for me to go, yep, this is just like every single morning. I get up, I have my coffee, I read my Bible, and now I'm playing with my daughter. But here's what was different. I got up, I did those other things, but normally we're playing Barbies. Usually we're playing in our dollhouse. And today we're running around the house. She's running in front of me, telling me that she can run faster than me because she has wings. And
we're elves.
Right?
Yeah.
And that, so she can run faster than me. And dang it, Leslie, you just derailed me so hard.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyway,
it's different. So you're not playing in the playhouse. You're running around.
I remember. And so my daughter's name is Hallie. The princess's name is Holly. And so unless I did it with the worst British accent you've ever heard, like, hello, Princess Holly, like that, she thought I was just saying her name. So it ended up being comical. She's like, no, Daddy, say Holly. And I would go, Holly. And she goes, no, Holly. Holly. No, that's my name. I want to be Princess Holly. So like we had this like huge, Lauren's like laughing her tail off about it, right? But I'm telling you that gets lost in the shuffle if I don't write it down later on tonight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So go through, I like the term highs and lows. Put your highs in there, put your lows in there, keep your highs, throw your lows out.
And I'm going to totally second the journaling idea. Also because you can keep it for posterity. So I don't know if you saw yet, but we have a blog on the website and we just kept it up as Leslie can use it for a writing outlet of various sorts. I'm keeping a diary. It's actually letters to my future grandchildren about what's going on here.
What? No, that's amazing.
You haven't seen that yet.
No, that's incredible.
So anyway, that's on the website under more, and then you go to the blog and you will see.
Yep.
Today was the one about
lifeadministration.com.
Yes.
That's my gym voice.
That's your gym voice. Excellent.
It takes a lot of effort,
Today's
by the way.
was the one about the markers because same thing. We had a total event around marker. Ours was a bickering event, but I do have tweens and teens.
God bless
and more
you.
of them. You only have one yet. So trust me, the
They're
bickering
coming.
will come.
They're
the
coming.
bickering will come. And yeah. But same thing. Yeah. It would have been forgotten. And it was kind of I don't want to forget even the Groundhog Day-ness of it. I want to remember some of that, and I want to be able to explain to people one day in the future. So when my grandchildren are reading this 100 years from now, they know what we were going through.
Yeah, definitely.
Pandemic, and maybe in 2021, heaven forbid, there's another, and they need perspective.
Yeah, or it just maybe applies to something else in their life, right?
Right.
Like the advice is still timeless. It's just right now we have this amazing opportunity to sort of self-reflect in a way that I don't think we ever really have had before, because all you would ever hear people say is, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. It's like, dude, if you're saying right now, I'm so busy, it's because you're trying to be busy. You're finding ways to be busy because there's other things in your life that you don't want to deal with. I mean, like, you know, hey.
I think there is some people in certain industries are still very taxed at home.
Yes. Yes.
So
I mean, yes. And I retract that and say, you know, there's a percentage of people that is 100% like that. But I would say the vast majority, if you're saying you're busy, it's because you are a chronic person that needs to be busy.
Right. And there is some of that. There are some people that just will make work to make work. That's actually why it's called make work. Okay.
Make work. Okay. So then let's talk about how you frame things up. Okay. So I think about a lot of times, you know, you've heard the saying, do you see the glass half full? Do you see it half empty? And a lot of times, like, it's just the way that you look at things. And so I'll be very honest with everyone, you know, with what has just happened, the situation that we're currently in. I share with you, I lost like about 35% of my income, like within 15 minutes of each other. That's really terrible. And I have a hard time sort of processing that. And when I walked in today, because it had just happened, you called me out. I tried to come in like, you know, hey,
I didn't realize he was trying to cover.
You know, I was like, it's been a day, you know, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, what's really wrong? What's going on here? And I was like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble here, right? Now I am studying a lot because I believe in my future someday, and I'm going to share this now in the podcast, and is that someday I believe that I'm called to be a pastor of a church. And now, instead of focusing on the fact that I've lost this income, now instead I can start focusing on my future, and I can take that time that I now have to really even more dig in and dive in and be able to read through some commentaries and things that maybe I wouldn't have been able to do before. Right. And so that's now I get it. You could say that you're lying to yourself. You need that money, but it's a perspective shift. It's a paradigm shift. And it's a choice that you have to make internally that says, I'm choosing to look at this differently.
Right. I'm choosing to look at the part of the sky that's blue instead of the part of the sky that's a little rain cloud.
Absolutely.
And sometimes people will choose to perfectly blue sky, and they will find the one rain cloud.
Because it's easy. It's easy. It's
easy.
It's easier to be negative than it is to be positive. Being positive takes work. Being negative typically just comes naturally. I don't know why.
I'll go with that.
You know what I mean? Like I always think about, like, it's easy to complain about a coworker in the corporate setting, but it takes effort to exalt them and lift them up in front of other people. You know, you make that decision to do it, where to gossip or something, everyone does it. It's just easy to sort of fall into that.
Or to jump in and try and help them. Sorry, what?
I know. What is this?
Oh my gosh, she jumped up in the chair. Okay, that's hysterical. Sorry, we had a dog join us.
Yes.
The small one, not the big one. I don't know how she snuck up here.
I don't know what point this is, 4 or 5 or somewhere. I should have numbered them out.
Well, and I want to get to, because I'm very worried about the depression stage that I think is coming for many of us. And so one of the things I've always, because there's a lot of times that you go through this cycle of something that you're grieving for. And it's better to get to acceptance. And in order to get to acceptance, you do need to go through the depression and you do need to mourn. Best advice, or some of the best advice I've gotten, came from a girlfriend. This is what her mom used to say. I mean, this is on small things, and we can kind of extrapolate it for bigger things. But let's say she had a bad day at school when she's in high school, and she and her boyfriend broke up. She got a D in science. Just one of those terrible.
A D, not an F.
Not this friend, no.
Never would have happened.
One of these terrible, horrible, no good, very bad days that we all kind of had. And her mother was brilliant about this. She'd be like, oh my gosh, that really stinks. That's a terrible day. So owning, accept, I totally get that's a terrible day. You know what? Go upstairs, draw yourself a hot bath, take a don't worry about the chore that you have to do this afternoon. If you want to get a dish of ice cream, just spend a few hours mourning. But by dinner time or by the next morning or by the end of the weekend or what, there would always be a finite amount of time. But by dinner time, it's done. And we're going to get on and we're going to get moving on it. But give yourself a chance to mourn what's actually been lost.
Yep.
Don't deny that things are hard right now. Don't deny that you have lost things and the ability to connect with other people, all that kind of stuff. Own those things. Mm-hmm. Honor them. Give yourself a chance to cry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just don't let yourself get stuck wallowing.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck there. Make a mental choice. You know what? I'm going to have a day where I'm just going to mourn for this, but then I'm going to be done with it and I'm going to get up and I'm going to get on with it.
Yeah. More often than not, we don't share notes on these things. And literally what I was going to say when I was talking about my next point was just sort of recognizing these patterns that make you sort of feel sad and depressed, and then allowing yourself to just take care of you. Just take care of yourself.
Because there's nothing wrong with being sad and depressed. Sometimes we are. Those are real feelings that you go through all the time. Problems tend to come in when we get stuck. Yeah.
So, I was going to say draw a hot bath. For me, my release is playing video games, right? And so I go up and I'll just tell Lauren, hey, you know what? So I usually play on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But last week I went up maybe an hour and a half earlier than I normally do. I just said, hey, I've had a tough day. Like I just got to unplug for a while. Or maybe I'll strum my guitar a little bit longer, whatever, right? Whatever that looks like to you. And that's
because everybody's got their own coping mechanisms.
Totally.
As well.
Right. Absolutely. And then, like you said, the next day,
right?
And
kind of plan for it.
Yeah.
Plan, say, okay, I'm going to mourn for this long, and then I'm going to stop mourning. And just making that decision can help you find. No, I need to get out of this rut.
Definitely. And then you just say to yourself, okay, when my eyes open in the morning, I'm going to be thankful that I got 2 places to put my feet. I'm going to be thankful that I have a place to lay my head. And I understand that all of these circumstances are going on around me. But I'm going to control what I can control, and I can control my attitude. And I'm going to choose to be joyful. And some days it's going to be harder than others. And some days it's going to feel like you're lying to yourself. And some days you're going to feel like you're full of junk, right?
Right.
But the reality is you got to start somewhere. And then that lizard brain of yours is going to start to go, wait a minute, I am feeling grateful. I am feeling happy. I am coping with this circumstance that we're in. And yes, it is Groundhog Day all the time, but you know what? The circumstances that are around me right now, they feel pretty stinking great.
Jim did a whole lot of saving of my life by early in our marriage. We've talked before how, we were having difficulties. And then also I had career issues. I was just was in a law firm that was both of us were working in law firms. We hardly saw it.
Hard.
It was just hard. And I was getting stuck there. And Jim used to constantly tell me, until he didn't have to tell me anymore, act as if you have faith and it will be granted unto you. Oh my goodness. It's true.
He's a smart guy.
Because sometimes you just go through the motions. Go through the motions like you are happy. Go through the motions like it is all okay. Act as if you have faith that this will work out.
That's good. That'll preach.
That'll preach. That'll preach. I think there was some wise person in history that said, that. Okay.
Yeah. And we'll be seeing him very soon. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's boy, that was a fast 45 minutes. Let me just
Did we do 45 minutes on this one too? I was certain we were going to be okay. Ryan and I
we're famous now.
No, well we said Ryan a couple of episodes ago was just like we just have a 45-minute format.
Yep.
Every once in a while it's a little longer, a little shorter, but we'll sit here and this was a short episode. We'll do it in 25 minutes. Never. No,
I clicked over from my notes. I looked at the timer and it was at 43 minutes and I said, "Yep. Seems about right."
45 special. That's us.
45 special. Yes. Okay. Any closing thoughts? Anything else? I mean, I think you're really just you hit a home run with that last one, honestly.
We're all in this together.
Yep.
And that's my daughter.
That's the cake, interrupter.
Yeah, the cake interrupter.
Yeah. So, she was singing. We're all in this together.
Yes,
Yeah. All right. So let me show really quickly before we head out. If you are listening to us on Google Play, Spotify, or Apple Music, please hit that 5-star rating, like, share, and subscribe. Leave all the comments and all the goodness down at the bottom. Love to hear what you guys are doing to keep it fresh and making sure that you're not bargaining into wherever we're going and how you're staying out of depression. I mean, honestly, let's just call a spade, right? If you're on YouTube, subscribe, share, hit that like button, big thumbs up, leave comments there as well. Leslie, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at Leslie Loftus Tex, and I also run the announcements and minicasts on Instagram at Life Administration, and I keep the show notes up on Pinterest at Life Administration. And then now I'm actually blogging a diary, an American housewife in a time of Corona.
Yeah.
So
very cool. You can hit us on mailbag at Life Administration as well. If you want to shoot us an email and there's a topic that you want to see us cover, we'll absolutely do that. Otherwise, I'm at Ryan Talon, and I have been Ryan Talon. And you have been
Leslie Loftus.
Guys, we're thinking about you. Stay safe. Keep those hands washed. Until we see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.